There's a certain kind of loneliness that doesn't show up in crowded rooms or on quiet nights. It shows up in the body, in the nervous system, in that tightening in the chest when someone sees you just a little too clearly, or when you want to belong, but your whole system doesn't trust what's being offered. I want to talk about that today because if you grew up in a home where love was conditional, where belonging depended on behavior, or where safety was inconsistent or simply not there, then sacred community, true spiritual connection with others can feel, well, complicated. For many of us with childhood trauma, the idea of community stirs up conflicting responses. On the one hand, we long for it. We ache for a circle where we're seen, welcomed, and held. But on the other hand, our body remembers. And the body says, the last time I opened up, it wasn't safe. You might find yourself pulling back without knowing why, wanting to be close, but staying on the edges. Maybe even testing the space a little to see, will I be rejected if I show too much? Is there really room for all of me here? I see this all the time in my work, especially among people healing from religious trauma or emotional neglect. And I felt it myself. When love and belonging weren't consistent in your early life, you learned to survive without them. You learned to self-protect. You became hyper attuned to tone, energy, unsaid expectations. And as you grow, community can feel less like safety and more like risk. And yet, there's still a longing because we're wired for connection. And not just any connection, but sacred connection. The kind that sees beyond your surface, the kind that feels like a quiet yes to your soul. That's what sacred community is meant to be. But safety wasn't there at the beginning. How do we open that kind of space now? This is where I've seen something truly beautiful. For those who are open to building a connection with the divine, even if that connection feels new, fragile, or deeply personal, spiritual tools can begin to repattern the nervous system. Prayer, meditation, contemplation, breath work, ritual, even sitting in silence with a candle and an intention. These practices don't erase trauma, but they give our bodies something new to hold on to. They create sacred inner space where the soul can begin to breathe again. They say, it's safe to be here now. It's safe to return to yourself. And from that inner safety, we can begin to explore sacred belonging with others. Not all at once, but gently, moment by moment, with care, with boundaries, with discernment, and with the awareness that belonging isn't something we perform for. It's something we remember. I often say that the parts of ourselves we thought we had to hide are actually the parts that open the door to real connection. Not just connection with others, but with the divine itself. Because when we show up with our whole self, our wounds, our wonder, our questions, our hope, we create the kind of space where healing can happen in community and where no one is trying to fix you, where you're simply held, witnessed, honored. So if sacred community feels scary, If you've been circling the edges, not sure that you'll be accepted, if you've been told you had to earn your worth or prove your value to belong, I want you to know something. There is nothing wrong with you. Your resistance makes sense. Your caution is sacred. And your longing, it matters. It's guiding you. Belonging isn't about conformity. It's not about being easy to digest. It's about being seen in your full humanity and still being loved, still being welcomed. That's the heart of sacred community, not sameness, but presence. And if you're on a healing journey from childhood trauma, I want to remind you, you don't have to do this alone. You were never meant to. You can take it slow. You can build your connection with the divine in your own way. And you can begin to form sacred spaces where the light between us is real, where you're not expected to be perfect. You're just invited to be whole. This is what we're creating here. This is what the Inner Light Companion community is all about. A place where your tenderness belongs, where your story matters, where your healing is welcome. Let's remember belonging together. If something in this reflection stirred something in you, I'd love to hear it. You can share in the comments or post using #SacredUs so we can find each other. Because your story, your light, your presence is part of this sacred circle we're forming. We heal better together than we ever could alone. Your journey is sacred. Subscribe to Walk With Me and listen to the Inner Light Companion podcast wherever you get your podcasts.